In this video tutorial for GrandPrix Race Manager, we will cover Step 7, which is registering racers. This tutorial is using version 24 of the software. However, much of what we will cover applies to other versions of GrandPrix Race Manager. On the Overview tab of the main screen, click on the shortcut button for Step 7. This takes us to the Registration tab. Note, the columns displayed on this tab are affected by what you have set in the Software Settings screen. There are also some features that are only available in the Pro version of the software. Also note, the functionality of this tab is much like that of the Awards tab, which we covered in our Step 6 video. Once you've created your race groups, you can start entering racers into them. We recommend that you enter all possible racers into the software prior to race day. That makes your check-in go faster. There are two ways that you can register your racers. You can either add them manually into the software or import them from a file. We will first go over how to manually add, edit, and delete racers. To add a racer, first select a race group or subgroup from the list on the left. Then click on the Add button or press the Insert key on the keyboard. The data fields shown here in bold are mandatory. Enter the racer's first and last name. Enter the vehicle number for the racer. Note, vehicle numbers must be just that, numbers. The vehicle numbers need to be a real number greater than 0. So, no letters or symbols or something like 007. Vehicle numbers must also be unique. So, no other racer in this data file can have that same number, even if they are in a different race group. For this demonstration, I will be using the custom field and have it set to store car names. That field was configured back in Step 2 in the Software Settings screen. Since I selected a subgroup from the list on the left of the tab, before clicking on the Add button, the software already filled in the group and subgroup selections for me. You can select a different group from the drop-down list, if needed. If using subgroups, you can select the appropriate subgroup from the drop-down list. If you opted to enable the admin field in the software settings screen, you will see that field below the subgroup selection. The admin field is currently set to store if the race has paid the entry fee or not. If the racer has already passed your check-in inspection, you can check the Passed box. However, for this portion of the tutorial, we are assuming that you are doing this before race day. So, I will leave the Passed box unchecked. On race day, you can quickly find and pass a racer once they have checked in. I have the Exclude feature in the Pro version turned on, so you see the Exclude checkbox here. If you have a racer that doesn't pass the check-in inspection, but you still want them to race, you would check the Exclude box. You do also need to check the Passed box for such a racer. An excluded racer will be added to the race schedule when you go to create it, but will not show up in the race standings. If you want to use racer photos, please note that is a feature of the Pro version of the software and can be turned on in the software settings screen. You can go ahead and save the racer's information and then later edit the racer to add in the racer's photo. However, if you already have racer photos on your computer, you can select the racer's photo now. Since we are on the subject of racer photos, there are 3 ways to associate a photo to a racer. If you already have racer photos on your computer, you can select the appropriate photo from the racer entry screen. To select from a photo saved on your computer, click on the button below the default racer image. Note, you can set where the photos are stored in the Advanced Software Settings screen if you don't want to use the default location. Select the photo and click on the Open button. If the photo needs to be rotated, use the arrow buttons to do that. The second way to get a racer photo is to use the software to take the racer's snapshot. If you want to use the software to take the racer's photo, click on the Snapshot button. You will need to connect a camera to the computer for the snapshots. The easiest device to use for this is a webcam. For this demonstration, I am going to use the built-in webcam on my laptop. If you have multiple cameras connected to your laptop, you can select the desired one from the camera number drop-down list. In the orientation section, you can select to have the photos in landscape or portrait mode. I am going to switch to portrait mode. Click on the Preview On button to see the live camera view. When ready, click on the Snapshot button to take a photo. Then click on the Save button if you are happy with that photo. To finish adding this racer, click on the Save button. The third way to assign a photo to a racer is to use the Assign Photos feature on the Registration tab. This is a quick way to match up a photo from your computer to each of your racers. This will be demonstrated when I cover the bulk operations features later on in this video. I will go ahead and create another racer. Note, the software assigned the racer the next unused vehicle number. It also remembered my selections for group and subgroup. This racer did not pass my check-in inspection, but we still want the racer to be able to race. So, I will click on the Exclude box. I do also need to click on the Pass box, so the racer will be added to the race schedule. Now, I will select a photo for this racer. When I click on the Save button, the software will want me to confirm that I want this racer to be excluded from the race standings. I'll click on the Yes button. I'll create one more racer. If you need to edit a racer, select the racer from the list, and you can either click on the Edit button or double-click on the racer. Make any changes that you need and then save them. To delete one or more racers, check the box to the left of the racer's name for each racer that you need to remove. If you want to select all of the racers and delete them, check the box in the column header. You can uncheck that box to deselect all of those racers if needed. Click on the Delete button to remove the selected racers. You will need to confirm the deletion. Important note, you do not need to delete racers who do not show up for the event. Racers who have not passed inspection will be ignored by the software when the race schedule is created. That's all there is to manually adding, editing and deleting racers. Note, once you start racing for a group, there are some things that you will not be able to change for a racer, like their assigned race group. The other way to get racers into the software is by importing them. To import a list of racers, click on the Import button on the right. That opens up the Import Data wizard. Select the type of file to import from. You can import from a CSV file, a tab or comma delimited text file, or from another SQLite data file. The SQLite option allows you to import your racers from a previous race's data file. Note, you might already be using a record-keeping software program that can provide an export of the people that will be in your race. You can export your list from that software to a file that you can then import into GrandPrix Race Manager. Another option is to use the spreadsheet that is included in the software's samples folder. You can fill out that spreadsheet and then save it as a CSV file. It includes a worksheet of instructions on how to fill out the spreadsheet and then save it as a CSV file. For this demonstration, I am going to import a CSV file. Click on the File button to select the file. Find your file and click on the Open button. Click on the Next button. Now you will see a preview of the data in that file. The columns with bold titles are mandatory and must have data in them, the rest are optional. If the first row of data has column titles, check the first row contains column titles box. If the data is not showing up in the correct column, click on the Change Mappings button. Click on a data column title from the top and drag it onto the desired column in the data preview. Repeat as necessary until data is showing under the correct column title. Click on the Next button. Then click on the Import button. If there were any problems with the data, the wizard would list the errors here. For this file there were no errors, and it lets us know how many records were imported. Click on the Finish button to complete the process. Here you can see the racers that were imported. You can manually add to, edit, or delete from these imported racers, as you were shown previously. I want to point out some other features of the Registration tab before we finish up. The list over on the left side of the tab allows you to filter the racers list at the round, group, and subgroup levels. Over on the right side of the tab we have the Bulk Operations section. With this, there are racer edits that you can do in bulk. You can pass or unpass selected racers, exclude or unexclude selected racers, renumber selected racers, move selected racers from one group to another or one subgroup to another, or even quickly assign a photo to each of your racers. Note, the exclude, move and assign photos features are only available in the Pro version of the software. To perform any of the bulk operations, first select the applicable racers. Select the bulk operation to perform on them. Then click on the Execute button. With the Pass and Unpass bulk options, the software will change the Pass checkbox as applicable for those racers. With the Exclude and Unexclude bulk options, the software will change the Exclude checkbox as applicable for those racers. To change the vehicle number for some racers, first select those racers. Select the Renumber option. Then click on the Execute button. You can type in each racer's new vehicle number in the Vehicle Number New column. Click on the Save button when done. Remember, vehicle numbers must be unique for the entire data file, so be sure that the new vehicle number has not been previously assigned. To move racers from one group to another or from one subgroup to another, select the racers from the list. Select the Move option. Then click on the Execute button. If using subgroups, you would select the new subgroup to place those racers into. That can be within the same group or to another group altogether. If not using subgroups, then select the new group for those racers. Then click on the OK button. To quickly assign a photo to your racers, select the racers from the list. Select the Assign Photos option. Then click on the Execute button. You can change the image's location by clicking on the button. Navigate to the desired folder. Select it and click on the Select button. Images from that folder will be shown to the left of the screen. You can resize that display by clicking on the right border and dragging it to the left or right. Select a photo from the left side, drag it over and drop it onto the appropriate racer. Repeat as necessary. Once done, click on the Save button. The racer data section has totals that will be updated based on what round, group or subgroup that you have selected over on the left. At the bottom of that section is the Import and Export buttons. We already covered the import functionality. By clicking on the Export button, you can export the displayed racer list to a CSV file. In the Audience Display section, there are two buttons. The first is the Rosters button. This is for displaying your list of racers to the audience, if you wish. You can use the screen to have the audience to help verify that you did not miss anyone nor put anyone in the wrong race group. Select a race group or subgroup to display. Select the desired inspection status. Either all racers, only the racers that have passed inspection, or only the racers that have not passed inspection. In our experience, it is good to show the racers that have not passed inspection. If you have an incorrect entry, it is better to pass someone that is not really in attendance than to not pass a racer that is actually there. You can sort the racer list by vehicle number or racer name. Click on the Reveal button to display the racers. If all of the racers cannot be displayed on the screen, you can manually scroll through the list, or you can turn the auto-scrolling feature on. With auto-scrolling turned on, the software will automatically scroll down the list. Once the bottom of the list is reached, it will go back up to the top and then start scrolling back down the list. You can turn auto-scrolling off at any time. If you need to clear the screen, click on the Reset button. You can select a different group to display by clicking on the tree button on the left. This screen does have a settings menu that you can use to customize the screen. Some columns can be turned on or off. You can also change the screen colors and font sizing. Another use of the screen is after you have initiated a new round, Grand Finals round, or Grand Turtle round. Before you start racing those rounds, you can use this screen to announce the racers that have been advanced. If you need help on using this screen, click on the Help button. Now, let's close this screen and get back to the Registration tab. The Audience Display section also has a Slideshow button. That opens up a screen that is similar to the roster screen, but it will display racers one at a time, along with their photo. This is good to display before your race gets started, during your check-in process. Select the race group or subgroup that you wish to display. Select the desired inspection status and sort by criteria. On the settings screen, you can select which racer information to display, how long to display each racer, the font sizing, and screen colors. Click on the play button to start the slideshow. Each racer, in the selected group or subgroup, will be displayed, and the slideshow will loop back through until you stop it. If you have someone checking in racers while you are displaying the slideshow will add any new racers during the next loop. You can pause the slideshow at any point. You can also manually display the next or previous racers, if you wish. Stopping the slideshow will clear the screen. If you need help on using the screen, click on the Help button. Now, let's get back to the Registration tab, as I've got a few more features to quickly point out. Back over on the left side of the tab, you can resize that side by clicking on the border and dragging it to the left or to the right. Up on the small toolbar, there is a search button. That can be handy during check-in if you have a large number of racers, to find a specific racer. You can search by any of the racers' information listed here. Enter your criteria to search on. Then click on the Find button. You can click on the Find button again to look for the next matching racer. Right next to the Search button you may see a Manual Refresh button. If using our Derby web app, the data shown on this tab will automatically be refreshed. How often that refresh happens can be set in the Advanced Software Settings screen. However, you can do a manual refresh of the data, if you wish, by clicking on the Refresh button. Lastly, if you need to delete out rosters, you can do so by clicking on the Delete button at the top of the main screen, and then selecting the roster option. In this video we have covered how to manually add, edit and delete racers, how to import racers and the other features of the Registration tab. For more information on registering racers, you can click on the small Help button. Now let's go back to the Overview tab by clicking on the Home button. If you imported a racer list, the completed box for Step 7 will have been automatically checked for you, otherwise, you can go ahead and check this step is completed when you are done. This completes our video for Step 7 Register Racers. Stay tuned for our video for Step 8, where we will cover creating race schedules.